The NFL regular season is over. I know my last video on sports was way back in week 1, about 4 or 5 months ago, but I have been paying a lot of attention. The NFL got through 17 weeks of pro football in a pandemic, which is a huge positive. Those players, those teams, those coaches deserve a lot of credit for that. Just like every year, there'll be yearly awards, playoffs, a Super Bowl, except this year it's going to be one more playoff team for each conference, so 14 playoff teams. The number one seeds for each conference are the only ones that get a bye. Before I get into my predictions for tomorrow and Sunday's 6 playoff wildcard games, I want to give my thoughts on who should win the yearly awards for the NFL season. MVP. The MVP is Aaron Rodgers. The fact that Aaron Rodgers in, his 2005, 15th, 16th season, to be able to distinguish himself from everybody else in an era with the most talented quarterbacks ever. You know, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Russell Wilson, you got Deshaun Watson, the list goes on. And to still be able to distinguish yourself and separate yourself from the pack and have arguably your best year after a year that had a lot of questions about you, about your team, about what you can do in your old age, to come back and throw 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. The Packers have the number 1 seed. Devontae Adams has had his best year. Aaron Rodgers looks relaxed. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's having fun. It was honestly his award to lose ever since Russell Wilson kind of fell off in mid-November. There is a reason why I give Aaron Rodgers the edge over Patrick Mahomes in almost everything except for pure arm strength, like how long you can throw the football, how far you can throw the football. Every time Aaron Rodgers wins these awards, these MVPs, it's almost like when anybody else wins MVP, you know throughout the whole year, you know Patrick Mahomes is going to win the MVP. You know Lamar Jackson is going to win the MVP the whole year because it's so spectacular. But Aaron Rodgers just does it in such a nonchalant way. He's just being Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes he ends up with 26 touchdowns. Sometimes he ends up with 50 touchdowns. And it's just really, really crazy how we take for granted how talented and how great of a talent this man is at the quarterback position. Not because he's boring or not fun to watch. I've watched him a lot this year. I liken it kind of to Kevin Durant in the NBA. To me, Kevin Durant has never needed a championship to validate to me how great he is as a talent. Just watch him score the basketball. Like, that is greatness in and of itself. Watch Aaron Rodgers play the quarterback position. It's greatness in and of itself. He doesn't need a whole bunch of touchdowns. He doesn't need a whole bunch of awards or even a Super Bowl. He only has 1. And to me, he's a top 5 quarterback of all time. I understand that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are unreal as an offensive machine, that Josh Allen has improved so much to make the Bills a contender in the AFC. But honestly, we're watching the best player at the position play it better than he ever has. Aaron Rodgers is your MVP. Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt, Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been absolutely sensational this year. The best player on one of the outstanding units in the NFL this year. The Pittsburgh defense led the league in sacks with 15, QB pressure, tackles for loss, QB hits. Unreal year for TJ Watt. Really maybe the best player on that team that was 11-0. At one point, they have since kind of derailed, but in the playoffs, they still have a home playoff game. That defense, I'm sure, will travel even if they have to go to Kansas City. I don't know if that will be enough, but that defense will definitely show up in every playoff game that they play for. I understand the case for Aaron Donald. Again, almost 14 sacks from the interior defensive lineman position is unreal as it's ever been. He's the best player, best defensive player that I've seen maybe since, I'm not even sure. But the fact that TJ Watt's team has just been so dominant on the defensive side of the ball, especially earlier in the season, I think gives him the edge over Aaron Donald. Offensive Player of the Year, Derrick Henry. It's not even close. Am I the only one that was totally taken aback by the fact that he got 2,000 yards on week 17? I was surprised, but then again, I wasn't. He's just been so dominant, especially in the last 18 months. Carrying the Titans to the playoffs again, even though Ryan Tannehill has quietly been one of the top 10 quarterbacks in that same span. But the offense truly runs through him, leads the league in rushing yards by far, leads the league in carries by far. You maybe only get one, maybe two 2,000-yard rushers every 10 years, and it's usually a lot bigger of a deal. Last time it happened was Adrian Peterson, and he won the MVP of the whole league. Henry has been so dominant that people hardly even care anymore. I mean, it's kind of like granted that if somebody was going to do it, it was going to be him. He gets my vote for Offensive Player of the Year. Now, the rookies. I struggled with this one because the rookies were surprisingly really good. Obviously, COVID hindered their ability to have training camp, to have OTAs, things like that usually help rookies out, making that transition from college to the pros. But I believe that maybe a lot of the stuff that they were able to do, had it not been a pandemic, it allowed them to stay within themselves and stay just focusing on football and not focusing on all the things that come with being a rookie in the NFL. Defensive Rookie of the Year, the easy answer is Chase Young. He not only had a good year rushing the quarterback with 7.5 sacks, but he did very good helping the defense out in run support and forcing turnovers. It was really the difference in Washington making the playoffs this year. Even with a lackluster record, that defensive line was really the saving grace for that team down the stretch. I know they have a lot of good pieces on that defensive team, but you weren't really hearing about how effective that defense was until Chase Young came this year. Jeremy Chen would have been my second choice, but he didn't have quite the start to the season that Chase Young did, and his play didn't always lead to winning football. Not to say that Washington is a quote-unquote winning football team, but they're in the playoffs, and I think that gives him the edge over Jeremy Chen. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This was even tougher between Justin Herbert and Justin Jefferson. Herbert being the quarterback for the Chargers, Jefferson being the great receiver from the Vikings. I gave the edge to Justin Herbert for the simple fact that this may have been the best statistical rookie season the quarterback has ever had. 4,300 yards, 36 total touchdowns, 66% completion percentage. And if you watch the kid play, he's making the intermediate to deep throws that a lot of NFL quarterbacks still struggle to make consistently now. And he did that straight out of the gate. They're not dinks and dunks. These are long passes down the field, outside the numbers. They are accurate and catchable balls. I love Justin Jefferson as a receiver, somebody that I watch a lot playing receiver myself. I know that he broke a lot of Randy Moss's rookie records for the Vikings, which speaks for itself. I would be surprised if Trevor Lawrence came in and did what Justin Herbert did this year. I would truly be surprised. And I think that speaks a lot. That speaks to what Justin Herbert's been able to do on the field this year. Comeback Player of the Year, not a question. Alex Smith. What a career he's had. Let me tell you about Alex Smith. I mean, #1 pick in 2005, I think the same draft Aaron Rodgers was picked in. Forced out of San Francisco from injuries. Colin Kaepernick comes in, takes the 49ers to the Super Bowl. Cool. Goes to the Chiefs, plays good. I think he's probably the goodest quarterback in NFL history, just the goodest quarterback. Leads them to 11-win season, 10-win seasons, playoff bursts year in and year out. Then loses his job to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick takes them straight to the Super Bowl, you know. And then he comes to Washington and has that absolutely catastrophic injury. Comes back against all odds. Leads his team to a 5-1 record as a starter. Leads him to the playoffs. What a career for him. Truly the consummate pro. An inspiration, a role model. Alex Smith, man, keep being a great guy. So the first game on Saturday is Colts and Bills. When I look at the Colts, they seem to me like a good team that's going to run into a team that's playing great in the Buffalo Bills. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts kept it close in the second half, but I expect Buffalo to pull away in the fourth quarter. Give me Buffalo by 2 touchdowns, 28-14 home team. The next game I'm very excited for to watch Rams, Seahawks, NFC West Showdown. I was not sure who was starting for Los Angeles, but I'm also not sure that it was going to matter a lot. Seattle will almost certainly struggle with the Los Angeles defense for the majority of the game, but Russell Wilson, I don't think has ever lost a game in the playoffs in Seattle, and I don't think he's going to start now because the Rams have new uniforms and a new quarterback. So give me Seattle, 21-13. Bucks at Washington. A lot of people are pulling for this upset. That would be a close second for the wildest thing to go down there in the last couple of days, but I would bet against it. Barring any inclement weather, I'm pretty sure Brady will be able to overcome that defensive line, which may give him problems, but Brady is used to throwing in the playoffs, and Gronk and AB are used to catching it in the playoffs. I don't think Washington will be able to score with the Bucks. Bucks win 31-17. Sunday's games start out with a rematch between the AFC divisional round teams last year, the Ravens and the Titans. Something tells me Baltimore is right where they want to be, respected but kind of overlooked. They came in with a lot of hype last year. I think Lamar Jackson is going to play loose. The Titans defense is not what it is last year. I think it's going to be a pretty quick game, both teams being able to run the ball really well. But I think in the end, the Ravens special teams, Justin Tucker, John Harbaugh will be able to spell the difference in a close game. Give me Ravens 24-16. Bears at Saints. I don't love the Saints in the long run in the playoffs, but here I don't think there's one thing that Chicago does better than the Saints, except for maybe return the ball with Cordero Patterson. I'll tell you what, if Cordero Patterson returns a kick for a touchdown in this game, the Bears will win. If he doesn't, 35-14 New Orleans. In the last matchup, Browns at Steelers. This game is still scheduled to be played on Sunday night, even though the Browns have had a litany of issues due to COVID for the past week. Kevin Stefanski, I'm pretty sure a couple of starters out. They haven't been able to practice all week. Couple that with the fact that they're playing the more experienced coach, quarterback, organization, whatever you want to call it. Cleveland hasn't been here since I was maybe 1 or 2. So I would like to believe that Cleveland will be able to be competitive. I think Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield will be able to keep it competitive based on grit alone, but in the fourth quarter, it'll get pretty tough. Steelers win 30-16. I'll review these predictions next week. Some of them will be right, some of them may be wrong. Preview next week's games, and y'all let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter. Let me know on Instagram what y'all think. Hit me up, and I'll see y'all next time.